If you're someone who's ever felt your stomach drop during takeoff, clenched your seatbelt during turbulence, or flinched at a strange mechanical noise mid-flight, this episode is for you. We're going to walk through the flying experience from gate to gate. We'll talk about what happens during takeoff, what turbulence really means, why planes make strange sounds, and what's going on behind the scenes during landing. My hope is that the more you understand the facts, the more your mind and body can begin to feel safe. Because the truth is, so much of our fear comes from the unknown, and fear of flying, it's often rooted in that lack of understanding. When we don't know what's normal, our brain assumes the worst. It fills in the blanks with scary stories, even when nothing is actually wrong. So today, let's fill in those blanks together. Let's start with the most dramatic moment for many flyers. Takeoff, what's happening and why it feels so intense. Takeoff can be one of the most anxiety-inducing parts of the flight experience. The engines roar, the plane speeds up rapidly, the nose lifts, and suddenly, you're off the ground. It's a wild moment when you really think about it. Your body is literally going from stationary to hundreds of miles per hour, lifting into the sky in a giant metal tube. No wonder your heart starts racing. But let's slow it all down and talk about what's actually happening. Here's how takeoff works. First, your plane taxis to the runway. Once it's your turn, the engines will spool up to full power. This is when you'll hear that loud, escalating sound. The thrust is what propels the plane forward fast enough to create lift. As the plane gains speed, the wings begin to generate lift through something called Bernoulli's principle. Without getting too technical, the shape of the wing causes air pressure to be lower on top and higher underneath, which creates upward force. Once there's enough lift to overcome gravity, boom, you're airborne. That whole moment, the surge forward, the nose tilting up, the wheels leaving the ground, it's intense. Not because it's dangerous, but because your inner ear, your gut, and your brain are all processing a major shift in speed, gravity, and pressure at once. You might feel pushed back into your seat. Your ears might pop, your stomach might flip, all normal. It's also when a lot of us start to feel that first wave of what-if thoughts. What if the plane doesn't make it? What if we're not going fast enough? What if the engines fail? These are completely normal thoughts and incredibly unlikely scenarios. Planes are designed with incredible precision. Before every takeoff, the pilots run detailed safety checklists. They know the exact speed needed for takeoff, called V1, and they're trained extensively to handle any scenario. Fun fact, every commercial plane can take off safely, even if one engine fails during the process. The aircraft is built to perform on one engine if necessary. You won't feel that, but it's there, that redundancy, that engineering, that safety net. So the next time you're sitting on the runway, feeling the nerves build, remind yourself, this is loud, this is fast, but this is safe. Turbulence, what it is and why it's not dangerous. Let's talk about the one thing that makes even experienced flyers nervous. Turbulence. We've all felt it. That sudden jolt, that up and down bobbing that makes your coffee splash and your body tense. But what is turbulence really? At its core, turbulence is just bumpy air. Think of it like driving down a gravel road instead of a freshly paved highway. You're still moving forward. You're just feeling a few more bumps along the way. Turbulence happens when there are changes in wind speed or direction. This can be due to weather systems, jet streams, mountains, or even wake from another aircraft. The plane is flying through different layers of air that are moving unpredictably. Now, I want you to hear this clearly. Turbulence is not dangerous. It might feel uncomfortable, but it is extremely rare for turbulence to cause structural damage to the plane. In fact, planes are built to handle way more stress than what you feel during normal turbulence. Pilots actually expect it. They're constantly in communication with air traffic control and other aircraft, getting updates on weather and air conditions. If the turbulence is forecasted to be significant, pilots can change altitude or route to avoid it. And here's a little secret. Pilots don't worry about turbulence. They're not white-knuckling the controls or panicking. Most of the time, they're calmly adjusting altitude, maybe sipping coffee and waiting for it to pass, because it always does. But if turbulence makes your anxiety spike, you're not alone. Your body is responding to uncertainty and motion, not to danger. And this is where calming tools can help. Inside the SkyCalm app, we've created simple breathing exercises you can follow when turbulence hits. Just open the app, press, breathe, and let the rhythm help bring your nervous system back down. Because even if your mind knows turbulence is harmless, your body might need a little help catching up. Landing, why it feels rough, and why that's okay. Now let's talk about landing, which can feel like another dramatic moment, especially when it's bumpy or loud. Landing is essentially the reverse of takeoff, but it can feel even more jarring because you're slowing down while descending. The plane's flaps come out to increase drag and reduce speed. The landing gear is lowered. The nose tips down slightly as the pilots line up with the runway. A few things happen here that can be surprising if you don't know what to expect. You'll hear mechanical noises, whirring, clicking, thuds. These are usually the flaps, slats, and landing gear being adjusted. Totally normal. You might feel a drop or a sense of floating. This is just the plane adjusting altitude in a controlled descent. It's normal for your stomach to feel weird here. Your body is detecting the motion. The touchdown might feel rough. That's okay. In fact, pilots are trained to firmly land, especially on wet or slippery runways. It's actually safer than trying to land too gently and risking a skid. After touchdown, the engines may reverse thrust, you'll hear a loud roar, and the brakes are applied. That deceleration can feel sudden, but it's controlled, and it's designed to bring the aircraft to a safe stop quickly. So if you've ever felt that thud and thought, that can't be normal, it is. In-flight noises. What's that sound? Now let's talk about one of the sneakiest anxiety triggers, strange airplane sounds. It's so common. You're sitting in your seat, maybe starting to relax, and then you hear a metallic thunk or a high-pitched whine or something clunks under your feet. Suddenly your brain is like, what was that? Is something wrong? So here's a breakdown of what some of those common noises are. The clunk before takeoff or landing. That's usually the landing gear being extended or retracted. Think of it like a car folding its wheels in. Totally normal. The high-pitched hum after takeoff. That's often the engine stabilizing power or the pressurization system adjusting. The barking dog sound mid-flight. Believe it or not, this is usually the hydraulic system cycling. Airbus planes in particular make this noise. It's harmless and just part of the normal operation. The whoosh, or hissing sound, that's the air circulation or pressurization system. Planes are pressurized to simulate sea-level air conditions, and sometimes that system makes soft, steady airflow sounds. Bangs or thumps during turbulence, that can be the wings flexing slightly, they're built to, or overhead bins shifting slightly. The plane is built for movement. Knowing these sounds ahead of time can reduce that spike of fear. And in the SkyCalm app, we've included a Q&A section that explains common in-flight sensations and sounds, so you're not left wondering midair, because uncertainty is fuel for fear. But clarity is calming. So let's recap. Takeoff is loud and fast, but safe. Turbulence is common, but not dangerous. Landing is sometimes bumpy, but controlled. And airplane noises, just signs that the systems are working. The more you know about what's happening during a flight, the less your brain will feel the need to fill in the blanks with fear. Understanding what's normal gives your body permission to relax, to breathe, and to start building new memories. Ones where you didn't panic, where you understood what was going on, and where you felt even a little bit more in control. And that's what this podcast and the SkyCalm app are all about. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with a friend or save it to listen again before your next flight. And don't forget to check out the SkyCalm app for tools that help before, during, and after takeoff, so you can start flying fear-free. Until next time, keep breathing, stay curious, and remember, you were never meant to fear the sky. You were meant to fly.